Good afternoon, Cross Timbers. Today is Monday, October 17, 2011. This is Texan TV News, a product of the Texas News Service, and I am McCoy Renfro. In today's headlines, Texans defeat A&M Commerce.
Floods spare Bangkok. Protesters
Arrested in Arizona. Students arrested in hazing case. Stephenville Milestone Hut faces closure. Midnight Madness hits Tarleton, and the Rangers advance to the World Series. Now today's top story. Brad Keith of the Empire Tribune reports that the last time Tarleton State
scored more than 50 points, the Texans upset A&M Kingsville 57-56 in a double overtime of a national playoff game back on November 14, 2009. Tarleton returned to the 50 points this Saturday night when the offense came alive. The leadership of the offense pushed the Texans past A&M Commerce in a 54-27 in the Lone Star Conference matchup at Tarleton's Memorial Stadium. The Texans will visit A&M Kingsville at 7 p.m. next Saturday.
In international news, the Associated Press reports that Thailand's capital is breathing
easier. Barriers protecting Bangkok from the country's worst flooding in half the century have held together. The government said floodwaters ravaging provinces just north of the capital are receding. Authorities said the death toll rose to 307, however, most from drowning outside the capital. Thousands of red men remained displaced and hungry residents were struggling to survive in half-submerged towns. Seasonal rains that drenched Southeast Asia annually been extraordinarily severe this year, killing hundreds of people across the region. Thailand has been particularly affected, while more than 200 major highways and roads have been shut along with the main rail lines to the north, despite widespread fears that disaster could touch Bangkok. The city has so far been mostly untouched. Unheavy rains showered the capital for much of the day Sunday, but life was otherwise normal.
In national news, according to the Associated Press, authorities in Arizona arrested nearly 100 people after two separate protests in support
of the Occupy Wall Street movement. The 53 arrests in Tucson and 46 in Phoenix on Saturday night came hours after peaceful protests against financial institutions as part of a series of such demonstrations across the country. Police said demonstrators in each city failed to leave parks at curfew. Phoenix police said protesters marched from a downtown rally to a park that had posted 10:30 p.m. closing time. In Tucson, about 100 miles south of Phoenix, people said 53 demonstrators were arrested after they remained in a park after the 10:30 closing time. An estimated 150 protesters were at the park at the time, and they were told they would have to be arrested if they didn't leave, said the Tucson police spokesman Matt Ronstadt. After the closing time passed, an officer began issuing criminal citations for remaining in a city park after hours. Ronstadt said no force was used during the citation process, and all 53 released pending a court appearance. The Tucson rally drew an estimated 500 people, and about 1,000 people attended the Phoenix event. Phoenix protester Davin White, 31, described the scene at the park as generally peaceful, but said police acted roughly during some initial arrests.
In state news, the Associated Press reports that authorities have arrested 20 state students on hazing acts after allegations that underage students were blindfolded, stripped to their underwear, and forced to drink alcohol. After affidavits and Signal Nu fraternity leaders told members of the Zeta Chi Alpha sorority to gather prospective fraternity members September 12th, the Austin American-Statesman report that the affidavits state that pleas were taken to an apartment garage where they were forced to drink alcohol to be accepted into the fraternity. There were no major injuries. 10 fraternity and 10 sorority members were charged with Class B misdemeanors, and an attorney who represents several of them said the event was not an official fraternity event, and the students were not pledges. In local news, Amanda Kimball of the Empire Tribune reports that the Girl Scouts are
facing closure of the Mistletoe Hut, a meeting place for scouts in Stephenville. Mistletoe Hut Incorporated Treasurer Linda Land said, "If we don't get some help for the hut soon, we will be forced to close the doors and move meeting into homes, churches, and other locations. Last weekend, rainfall caused the damage to the mistletoe hut, which was already in need of repair. The beams, walls, and boards and tiles of the building faced extensive damage. Volunteer leaders and Girl Scout Troop 4136 used mops and paper towels in an attempt to clean the mess. The building will have to be evaluated on the exterior before any repairs to the interior can be considered. In campus news, Midnight Madness
Kicked off at Tarleton this past Friday. The doors at Wisdom Gym opened at 11 p.m. to students as well as the public to mark the official start of basketball season. Midnight Madness features both the Tarleton's men and women's basketball team performing short routines. Texan TV's Landon Hastings was at the event and captures this video. Once the clock hit midnight, both teams were officially allowed to start the practice for the season. In sports, the Associated Press reports that the Texas
Rangers are back to the World Series with a boom and a purpose. Just getting there isn't enough this time. Texas waited a half century to finally play in the World Series, their first World Series, before losing to San Francisco in 5 games last year. They quickly have another chance to win their first championship. The Rangers won their second consecutive American League pennant after an unprecedented playoff powder displayed by Nelson Cruz, who had 6 home runs and 13 RBIs in the 6-game American League Championship Series. Texas is the American League's first consecutive pennant winner since the New York Yankees won 4 in a row from 1998 to 2001 before last year. The Texas Rangers had only one playoff game win. They had never won a playoff series, getting knocked out by postseason by the Yankees in 1996, 1998, and 1999.
In high school sports, Stephenville defeated Waco University 38-36. Whitney defeated Dublin 60-0. Hico fell to Crawford 34-14, and Lincolnville beat Moran 51-0. For today's weather, you can expect sunny day with temperatures reaching 89 degrees with winds from the southwest at 15 miles per hour. Today's broadcast was produced by Presley Parks, Caleb McCraig, Landon Hastings, and Texas TV News Matthew Mills. You can follow us on Ustream TV/users/Texas News Service. Don't forget to tell your friends about us and become a fan of Texan TV News on Facebook. I am McCoy Renfro. Tune in tomorrow for the latest news from the Tarleton State campus in Stephenville, Texas.